Hi, everyone. It's Kelly Day. Welcome to the six most important practices to succeed at your art this year. Um, Before we get going, I just want to ask you a quick question that's very important. Ready? Do you want to succeed with your art this year? Super simple question. Put a comment down below. Because in order for the six practices I'm about to give you to work, you have to be able to say yes to that question and be willing to get over any hurdles to make it happen. And the reason I'm starting off with this question is because I do hear from a lot of people who say that they really want to make great paintings and be an artist, but then when they find out they have to prioritize their art or give something else up or put time into it or money into it, they aren't willing to do that. So, like anything in life, you have to decide if you want to be an amazing artist and if you can say yes to that and you want it bad enough to get over any challenges that come along, ask yourself this question. Am I willing to put time, energy, and money into my art this year and make it a priority? If you can't answer yes to that question, then you don't want your art bad enough to do what it takes to make it happen. You can keep dabbling in art and if that's enough for you, that's totally fine. This is not a judgment. It's just helping you to clarify. But if you do want to be an amazing professional quality artist and you can answer yes to that question, then stick around because I'm going to right now give you the six most important practices that you need to make your art succeed this year. So if you're here, say hey, let me know you can hear me. And if you want to be an amazing artist this year. All right, ready? Number one, know that you are creating your own life. We become what we think about. We decide what our life looks like by the way that we think about it. So be aware that you're actually standing in the middle of a life that you created. And if that's true, then we can create any life we want. So, first, make a decision that you want something like you want your art to flourish this year. You want to make amazing paintings and be a successful artist. Then set a clear goal for yourself for what you want with your art this year. Because if you don't have a goal, you won't know if you've arrived. So maybe your goal is that you want to make 12 amazing paintings and sell six of them and have a show at the local coffee shop or gallery. Let your mind think about that goal from all angles. Dream about it. Think about it when you're in the shower, when you go to sleep, and you'll start to think about ways you can make that happen. All right. Then refuse to believe there are any circumstances that can keep you from making it happen. Like Denise, one of my students, she wanted to make more art and have an art business, but she didn't know how to get there. So she began thinking about how could she take her art more seriously and make more of a business of it and get her name out there? And she loved doing commissions. So she started looking into options and decided her next step was to work with me for art mentoring. She took that action, and now she and her husband, who also likes to make art, both make art together. She sells her paintings, she does commissions, she does murals, and she is loving her life and posting pictures of herself with her big paintings and talking about all the people that she's sharing it with. It's super exciting. All right, number two of the most important things to have to be successful with your art this year. Take action on what you want. So once you've decided what you want in your art life and you've thought about it and you've dreamed about it, and then you'll start to figure out what's the next step you need to do. Once you figure out the next step, take action on it. Do it decisively, promptly, and most importantly, do it fully because if you act on anything only partially, you won't fully succeed. So you can't just put your toe in the water and think, I'll try this out, and if it doesn't work out right away or if it's uncomfortable, I can just back out. The universe wants to know you're fully committed. You have to be all in to make things work in your life, right? It just makes sense. You can't, I don't know. I should probably have an example ready, but I don't. So once you make a decision and you act on it, your dream will begin to happen very quickly. For example, once my student Jean decided she wanted to improve her art and sell it, she acted on that by taking my mentoring course, learning to make stronger paintings, and she started to make this whole series of really fun, zany portraits of women. Then she began to post them on Facebook and share them with people in her family and her friends. And at the end of her post, she would mention that they were for sale if anyone was interested. And she sold 17 paintings in that first year. All right, if you're just joining us, say hey. We are talking about the 5, or I think it's 6, most important practices to succeed with your art this year. So number 3, this is huge. Your attitude will determine your success. Attitude, mindset is a big part of what I teach, and I truly believe it's 90-95% of our success. So once you make a decision that you want to be an amazing artist this year, and you're researching the next steps of what you need to get there, and you're ready to take action and do it, now you need to know that your attitude will determine your success. So let's look at it like this. We now know that we become what we think about. So if you feel you have limitations, like I'm not good enough to be a successful artist, then you need to know that you're putting those limitations on yourself. Like we just talked about, you won't be fully successful if you're not fully in, right? So if you're putting limitations on yourself, think of your mind like a garden. You have to pull the weeds out, get those negative thoughts out of your garden so that all of the good stuff has room to bloom, right? So the less time you're spending thinking about how your art isn't good enough, the more time you can be making art freely. And the more art you make, the better it will become. Makes sense. All right, use all your courage to force yourself to think positively about any of these limiting beliefs you have. This will completely transform your attitude and you'll begin having more success in your art, and that will spill over to your life. So for example, my student Cecilia makes these gorgeous paintings of farm life where she lives in Iowa. And she had a negative belief just from her upbringing or whatever it was, maybe the town she lived in, that there weren't any places in her town where people would pay much money for her paintings. So we worked together on how this was a self-imposed thought, and she began to clean out her mindset garden and pull the weeds and believe that it was possible to find a gallery where people would pay good money for her paintings. Then she took action and she began to look around outside of her town for galleries that felt good. And then guess what? She landed at a new gallery for her work and has sold many paintings, both in the gallery and in her own shop. Cecilia's whole art life is leveling up because she pulled the negative weeds out of her mindset. She's now looking for a second gallery and making gorgeous paintings of the small town Iowa farm life she grew up in. All right, number 4 of the most important practices to succeed with your art this year. You are who you believe you are. You are who you believe you are. Everyone talks about how important habits are, and they are. Habits make up your day, and your days make up your years, and your years make up your life, right? But there's something more powerful than habits, and that is deciding who you believe you are. So if you have great art habits and you paint every day or every other day, but you don't believe you're good enough, or you don't believe your art is anything anyone's going to want to buy, then you'll never be a fully confident artist who gets her art out there and sells and networks and create opportunities for herself, like Cecilia. You'll always be partially hiding or playing small, you know what I mean? But when you decide, hey, I have something worth sharing, I love to paint. I know somebody's going to love it, even if not everybody does. And you write this new belief down and you post it somewhere you can read it every day. And you start to retrain that old belief about yourself, because it does take, it's like training a dog. We have to train our minds because we have decades of believing something, and it takes some training to start believing something new about ourselves. And even more importantly, start visualizing yourself as this person that you want to believe you are, this successful artist. Start just visualizing yourself like at night when you're laying in bed or whatever it is, because you actively are training your brain to become this higher version of yourself. And you're feeling what it feels like to be this higher version of yourself. When you start to train yourself through these practices, you will become this person. And I like to listen to this meditation every night when I go to sleep by Aaron Doughty. It is Connecting with Your Higher Self. I can't remember the name of it, but check it out on YouTube. I think it's really good. And I think that these guided meditations can really reinforce those new patterns. All right. Number 4 on the most important practices to succeed with your art this year. Number 5, I always lose track of my numbers when I'm giving these videos. Align yourself with your highest joy and purpose. Okay, this is important. Be careful that you're not focused on the wrong thing in your art. So like when I was younger, I was very much in fear and scarcity. I came from a family where my dad was raised in poverty and he never had enough. So he passed that down to me in many ways. So in my first business as a graphic designer, although I loved creating and I loved my clients, my focus was like, oh my God, I have to make money to survive or else everything's going to go to hell. And that's an old generational belief. So I had a nice business. I did great work for my clients, but something felt like it never flowed. The business always kind of felt a little forced to me, and I wasn't totally passionate about it. But when I became brave and put my art first, which is what I really loved, that's when everything began to flow. So make sure you're really connected, aligned with your highest joy. You know, when I did this, people became attracted to my art. Corporations began calling me to create nicely paying art for them. A well-known retreat center out east called me to teach with a teacher I had always admired. Licensing companies and magazines approached me to use my art, and I began helping women make their art as well. And that's flow. That's called flow. When you're doing what you love and you're aligned with your highest purpose, the money comes in on its own because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So let's see. All right, that's what I want for you this year. When you decide what you want for your art, make sure it's aligned with what brings you your greatest joy. So for example, don't take on pet commissions if you don't like making paintings for somebody else. Or if you hate paint nights, don't teach paint nights. Make art that you love, and others will be attracted to what you're creating because it truly comes from your heart. Okay, number 6. My final favorite practice to help you succeed with your art this year is one of the laws of nature. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. I grew up with a scientist grandfather who helped found NASA. No kidding. And I heard this a lot, but I never knew what it meant. So what it means is that your success with your art is directly dependent on how much effort you put into it. Sounds pretty obvious, right? But for example, some of my students like Sherry, Billy, Cecilia, Denise, Renee, they're just a few examples of students who all paint regularly, and they love what they do. And as a result, they have regular success, art sales, shows, making paintings they love, connecting with people who love their work, which is the highest reward. And guess what that means? They've created a life that they love, which is what we started this whole conversation out with. You can create the art life you love. So if you're just getting here, go back and rewatch how you can do that. These women are doing it. Are you ready to create an art life that you love this year? That's the question. And if you can say yes to that question that we started out with, I'm ready to prioritize my art so that I can be an amazing artist this year and invest my time and energy into my dream, if you can say yes to that, then I can get you there. This is what I do every day. You can see a lot of women on my website who've done it. If they can do it, you can do it too. And so if you're ready to make this year the year of your amazing art and be an amazing artist, you can book an art breakthrough call with me at kellydayart.com/booking. That's Kelly with an IE. dayart.com/booking. Please don't book a call with me if you're just looking for free information. These calls are only for women who can say yes to that question. And if that's you, I can't wait to talk with you and show you what it looks like. All right, Happy New Year. Leave a comment if this helped you, and I hope you have the greatest of successes with your art this year. Bye.